Hello, and thank you for tuning in. You are tuned into Esoteric Guidance, and my name is Nehru. And I want to talk for a little while, a moment, some time, about something that I've grappled with for a long time, um, and that is divine's judgment on Moses and divine judgment on David, King David. And I want to talk about the differences. Um, I myself, I have. And in some way, it's kind of, I guess, even kind of out of place for me to say, but in the 3D, I am going to say it. I grapple with divine's judgment in regards to those two spirit beings and the story that we are familiar with. So King David, and we're gonna look up some things and that sort of thing, but King David, and just he was placed as king over Israel, and he was married and lusted after Bathsheba, okay, a female who was married also to Uriah. So David, lusting after her, even having a wife of his own, perhaps more than one, because back then that was common and widely accepted, he wanted someone else's promise. Okay? So he decides to send this individual off to war. This husband of Bathsheba, this woman he lusted after. And Uriah was sent off to war, and David went on to live and be prosperous, remain king. And David, unlike Moses, was placed in a position over a nation. Moses was a leader of people, of the people, children of Israel. He led out of captivity. And all of this is spiritual and natural, but all of it is spiritual, okay, first. Uh, and because of anger, frustration, or what have you, at one point, Divine Source asked Moses to speak with the throat chakra to the rock this time instead of striking it. Okay? But Moses, in his frustration, lack of faith, didn't think it was going to happen again, whatever. Saw that it happened the first way. I have this lighter for sage here, which I didn't light. But he struck the rock a second time when Divine Source asked him to speak to it the second time. Okay? So again, doing something one way the first time and then doing it a different way the second time. Okay, again, take whatever resonates for your journey, collective, as always with anything, okay, that is shared on this platform, this channel. All right. So yeah, welcome in. Thank you so much for being a part of the journey. I am Esoteric Guide, spiritual guide. It was 404 up there on the video timer. Born on the 333rd day of the year, kidney transplant on 7/7/17. I manifested that after saying I don't need dialysis. I'm just here to socialize for 21 days. That's a 3. Again, any of my journey may resonate for you. And so with David, I have also experienced that where someone took my wife, okay, and they were praying and sending me off to war, hoping that I got sent off to another deployment, and I was unalived. So I've dealt with those types of situations. So you could be dealing with a situation where that is in the physical what's happening, or that is spiritually what you're dealing with. Someone who's wanting to send you off to war and to unalive you in some way, steal, kill, and destroy is what the enemy's purpose is, to take over your wealth, to take over your life, to take over your husband, your wife, your business, your whatever, whatever. Again, your Akashic records, your divine appointments. Okay, they want to show up for those divine appointments. Okay, um, and so with David and Moses, it's very, very interesting to me. And again, I understand that divine has mercy on whom divine has mercy. Divine has grace on whom divine has grace. One of the perhaps the number one question in all the earth, this form, is why would divine source allow one who does evil to live or prosper or receive beyond what the more righteous did? Okay? And who's to say which sin was greater? And sin is just going against your higher self. That's just going against your higher tuition, your intuition. Okay? Because your spirit in you knows the truth. It is all truth, just like divine is. Divine source cannot lie. The great I am, God, Avarat, Yahweh, they cannot lie. Okay? So you have that. That is the truth that is in you. But you have to access it, just like you have to access God. Okay? Confirmation with the feathered ancestors. But I grapple, I struggle with, and again, it's not even for me too. Again, I'm just really just sharing what the energy was. Very, very amazing this morning, and it still is. Just extremely airy, extremely light, extremely flowful, extremely galloping. Okay, someone might be gallivanting. Okay, but or try to on your name, like David tried to gallivant on Uriah's name. And why is it that divine source allowed a being who was already in position? It wasn't like David was in the dark and David hadn't gone through his dark night of the soul, or David didn't know who he was, or David didn't. Divine source allowed. To me, that's the equivalent of Yeshua, Issa, Jesus. Okay, that's the equivalent of them committing adultery or fornication, and divine still placing them as the savior of the world. Like, to me, they're not qualified. They disqualified themselves. To me, David is disqualified from being king. David doesn't deserve to be king. David did not confirmation. David did not earn that. And if he did earn it, he lost it at some point. So why was David allowed to continue as king on this earth, and Moses was denied access to the promised land and entry into the promised land? I'm proposing the question. It was 9-12. Those are threes. I'm proposing the question. Okay. There's something about 18, 1-8, or 9. Okay. Or 81. Could be 81. It's amazing to me. I do not hold King David in high regard whatsoever today. None. No more than Solomon. No more. I do not hold those individuals in high regard. I do not. Abraham, I do not hold them in high regard today. And I've mentioned this 10 minutes exactly on the timer up there. And I've mentioned this before. But I wonder, and again, this is, I'm on the journey just like you, collective. 144,000 religious individual, whoever you are, karmic, whatever, demonic, what? Okay. The demonic spouse card has been coming out a lot. Okay. And I pull cards even when I don't record a video, you know, so that card is standing out to me, demonic spouse. But what is that? Okay. I don't know. So you could be dealing with a situation where you feel as though something is not just because you see someone is continuing to live on. You see that someone is being prosperous. For those of us who are not in contact with those individuals from our past, you might come across someone and you might be wondering, why are they still this? Why do they still have their house? Why do they still have a job? Why do they still... And to be honest with you, I don't know. Why haven't Creflo low-life ass Dollar, why hasn't his fucking building blown up? Because he's a thief and a liar and a deceptor. The word Decepticon, significant. There are a lot of Decepticons. 1127, I know a Decepticon on 1127. A lot of 1127, a lot of Decepticon energy, okay? All right, that's also 38. Okay, 11. Okay. So again, I came on only to, I guess, really prepare us. Again, I talked about how preparation meets opportunity the other day. Okay. So, and whatever's going to be revealed to you about your enemies, this could be 5, 10, 20 years down the road that you see this video. I don't know if YouTube's going to be around like that. Right. But whatever, right? Yeah. Okay. It was 1212. You might be seeing 144, 414. Okay, 441. So yeah, so let's read a little bit about Moses first, and then we'll read a little bit about David. Confirmation. I don't even know what that was. Ancestors. Confirmation. Ancestors. Get on board, collective. Get on board, center. One going against your higher self. Get on board. On board what? The truth ship that's leaving the dock. The healing ship that's leaving the dock. 1311. The healing ship that's leaving the dock. Get on board. If you don't, you'll just be left and not right. The name Zora came to me today, collective. It's 856. That's a 7. The name Zora, when I first got up, I was making coffee. Zora, and where's my journal here? Zora and yeah. Okay. So, so let me find where we need to go. Okay. Moses, a Hebrew boy, was born during the time when Pharaoh orders the death of all newborn Hebrew males. Okay. The sun's looking. It's okay if that falls down. Let something fall down, collective. If it falls down, let it fall down. I don't know. Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so his parents, fearing for his life, placed him in a basket and sent him adrift in the Nile River. Okay, so some of us could be dealing with parents who, at the time of our birth, gave us away. We were adopted, sent off, and might be just discovering that now, or revelation about that's coming to you. Okay. The Pharaoh's daughter finds the baby and raises him as her own, unaware of his Hebrew heritage. After killing an Egyptian taskmaster, Moses flees to Midian, where he marries Zipporah and becomes a shepherd. God appearing to Moses in a burning bush, revealing himself as Yahweh, and commissioning Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. The Great Commission. You have been given a Great Commission, collective, from birth. It is written. Moses, with the help of his brother Aaron, pay attention to all of the names, confronts Pharaoh and demands the release of the Israelites. When Pharaoh refuses, God sends 10 plagues upon Egypt, culminating in the death of the firstborn. Moses leads the Israelites out of Egypt through the Red Sea, parting of the Red Sea, familiar story, and which miraculously parts for them. At Mount Sinai, Moses receives the 10 Commandments from God, which form the basis of the Mosaic Law. Okay? We are currently covering the books of Hermas. Okay? And one of those books is the Book of Mandates. Okay? And with the Book of Mandates, laws, okay, principles. Leadership and wandering. Moses leads the Israelites through the desert for 40 years. It should have only been 2. Okay, so this number 38, I mentioned it a moment ago. 38 is 11, 38. More rotations around the planet or Earth, sun, than they should have in getting to the promised land. This was due, in fact, not so much as to Moses as it was the people that he was leading, because he was leading people that were complaining all the time and all of that. Again, read the story. They were complaining all the time and weren't faithful and lacked faith. And here's Moses, okay, who already deals with self-doubt because he has a stuttering issue. Okay, someone might have a stuttering issue, and or it might be something that's a nervous condition, neurological something. Okay. And so Moses is dealing with these people who he reluctantly leads. He's a reluctant leader. Okay, he's called to lead, but he really doesn't want to. Okay. Moses, again, childhood wounds. Moses dies on Mount Nebo within sight of the promised land, but is never allowed to enter. Okay. So let's take a look at David's story. Oh, happy Thursday to you. Oh, it's Friday. Happy. I'm always a day behind. Whenever that was a or something. I'm always it seems like a day behind whenever I try to mention the date on the video. I'm always a day behind, it seems. All right. So King David's story is as such in summary. Okay. David is the youngest son of Jessica. Lived a simple life as a shepherd, again, shepherd. Developing skills in music and fighting, combat. The prophet Samuel, sent by God, anointed David as the future king of Israel in Bethlehem despite his humble origins. So David was the youngest. He was the least, right? Back then there was a ladder, a totem pole. The eldest of the family, the eldest son, was considered the top dog, and then all the other males, and then the daughters. That's how it was back then, right? That's how they whatever. Okay, that's how they divvied out promises, inheritances. Everything was based on the eldest. Then, right? That's how they did it. Okay, so the eldest was held in high regard and had great responsibility, and much was expected of them. But David was the lesser, smaller, skinny, scrawny, whatever. Okay, again, he was just a shepherd. Just. David's anointing occurred in secret with no fanfare or public knowledge. Collective, does that resonate with you? David's fame grew after he famously defeated the giant Philistine warrior Goliath with a slingshot and a stone, showcasing his faith and skill. Okay, again, developing skills, music, and fighting. The victory boosted David's popularity and made him a hero in the eyes of the Israelites, the same people that Moses was called to leave out of captivity. Okay, I just got a crown bump. Jealousy of King Saul and exile. King Saul, who was initially impressed by David, became increasingly jealous of his growing popularity and military success. Saul plotted to kill David, forcing him into exile and leading him to becoming a leader of a group of outlaws and refugees. He's a rebel and he'll never ever be any good. He's a rebel cause he never ever does what he should, but just because I don't do what everybody else does, that's no reason why divine doesn't give his love. I'm always good to them. They're always good to me. Divine keeps me tenderly. Divine, that's not the way the song goes. He's not a rebel, no, 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 to me. Okay. Okay. So during this time, David honed his leadership skills and cultivated a loyal following. Okay. After Saul's death, David was crowned king of Israel, and he united the tribes and expanded the kingdom's territories. He established Jerusalem as a capital and brought the Ark of the Covenant there, and a symbol of God's promise. They're a symbol of God's promise. David's reign was marked by both military victories and political alliances, solidifying Israel's position in the region. This is long after Moses. David's reign was marked by both military victories and political alliances, solidifying Israel's position in the region. David prepared for the construction of the temple, gathering materials and blueprints for his son Solomon to build. David's legacy includes his role as a leader, a poet. Okay. He is remembered for his faith, courage, and his ability to lead Israel to prosperity. Okay. However, his story also includes instances of sin and failure, such as his affair with Bathsheba and the rebellion of his son Absalom. Confirmation. Despite his flaws, David's repentance and his unwavering faith in God emphasized in the biblical narrative. Okay. And again, I personally, you can hold David in high regard if you want to, and anyone else, and for that matter. But I personally discriminate and discern who I give credit to. And to me, King David deserves no credit. He deserves no credit whatsoever. 24:42 on the video timer up there. He deserves no credit. Okay? To me. And again, you're talking about someone Think about this. Think about this. Men, I meet you somewhere. We're neighbors. Let's say we're neighbors. I just move in. We're neighbors. I see your wife. I have a wife, but I see your wife. I have kids. You have kids. We all both have family. But I see your wife and I want your wife. So what do? Send gang stalkers to you. Send harassers to you. Today, online, whatever. Again, today, same story, right? To drive you crazy, to harass you in any way. And you're unalived. And then I sleep with your wife and she gets pregnant. What in your opinion, victim, in your opinion, victim, 2611, in your opinion, victim, should I be allowed to live? I unalived you to take your wife. Let me ask you a question, victim. Are you okay with me still continuing to live and be prosperous on this earth and remain king or whatever position I'm in, business owner, prosperous in whatever way? Do you think that's fair? Do you? Okay? And again, part of this is probably preparation for some of us for what's going to happen, because there are going to be people in your life, collective, who you think because of the things that they've done against you, they deserve the death penalty. But they don't get it. It was 2713 up there. That's 913. Thank you, Linda. So why is it? Why? And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? I don't know. But there are those of us who will resonate with this video, and you need to prepare yourself, because there will be those who you know have come against you. Elite collective, and I'm not talking about the elites as in secret society. I'm talking about the 13 elite, 19 elite, extraterrestrial earth angels, healers, light workers, star seeds. I'm talking about us. There are going to be people, when your justice comes, that you are going to want to see fry and burn. But the truth of the matter is, it's not going to happen. Why? I don't know. Again, the type of system that I would run is one where it's more focused on justice. Might be a fork in the road, crossroads. Somebody might be saying, what's your fork and issue? Or what's your fork and issue? Mm-hmm. But what you're going to have to, you are going to have to be okay with that, whatever that is. It was 29 minutes exactly up there. You're going to have to be okay with whatever that is. You're going to have to call it justice, collective. And that's not going to be easy in a lot of cases. So again, this apparently is a preparation for the opportunity so that you are not emotionally out of balance and miss it, or not be thankful, or even after the blessing arrives, still wish evil upon, or not evil, but you know what I mean? Still feel as though there's injustice. And I get that. Trust me. On my journey, trust me. I've been through enough to know I get it. Okay. I would like to, okay, firing squad every last individual that came up against me, from Judy, Kevin, the lovers, to the karmics, to the all of them are karmic. I would like to end their life right now, today. I don't care what they got going on. They could be pregnant, they could be whatever, already dying, diseased, cancer diagnosis has been coming out frequently. Whatever that is, I would want them unalived to begin again and try to do their first works over again. I would do that. I would not allow King David to live. I would not. I would not. Moses is so much more faithful than King David was. It's laughable. But again, and I even have to keep my own self calm. Okay? Because what I want to say is divine fucked over Moses and then didn't David, but divine doesn't fuck over anybody. So even I have to calm down. I have to relax and, There's something about seeing the 31st, like you might see 631. Let me use another. You might see 431. Okay, 431, there's no 431 date, right? There's no April 31st. April only has 30 days in it, correct? And I just looked up there and saw 3131. So if you see 31 like that, it means the first of the next month. So you might be seeing 1131. That's December 1st. Okay? So relate that to December 1st when you see the 31st associated with, angel numbers. But there is no 31st in the month that other resonates with. 730, whatever, right? Whatever. You get what I'm saying. So it's 9:15. There are threes again. Okay. So again, collective. It's early here. I don't what's the temperature? It's already warm. It's going to be 100 degrees today. It's supposed to be 100. Oh, let me check. I'll check the thermostat. Give me just one moment. So it is currently reading right at 80 degrees. Okay, in here. Right at 80 degrees. All right, in the RV. Okay. So, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you would like to get in touch with me, you can do so via email at theencourager333@gmail.com. As always, thank you so much, collective, and be encouraged.